در این بخش جناب آقای آلبرتو ماتیا در مورد چگونگی پیاده سازی سیستم مدیریت صحبت خواهند کرد. برای آشنایی بیشتر مهمانان عزیز با آقای آلبرتو ماتیا خدمتتون عرض می‌کنم که جناب آقای ماتیا مدیرعامل شرکت پانتا هستند، یکی از مشاور برتر معرفی شده توسط مؤسسه BCI و عضو کمیته ریسک و راهبری مؤسسه BCI هستند. خیلی متشکریم از حضورشون در ایران، خیلی مقدم خدمتشون عرض می‌کنم و خواهش می‌کنم همراهی بفرمایید تا در جایگاه در خدمتشون باشیم. به افتخار جناب آقای آلبرتو ماتیا.
Hello everyone, thanks again for having me here. Please let me take a minute again to thank the Informatic Services Corporation who is hosting this fantastic event. In particular, I would like to thank Mr. Najafi, the CEO of the ISC, Ms. Vagafi and all her team that contributed to the organization of this event. Thank you very much again. I'm very happy to be here today. It's my fourth time in Iran, in this wonderful country. I have to say I travel internationally a lot. But it's hard to find a place in which people are so nice with us, in particular with us as Italians, so it's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much again. I would like to thank also the CBI. It's very important. We had a meeting months ago with the Central Bank of Iran and with Mr. Hakim in particular, and we have started to discuss about the importance of organizing an event to demonstrate and to talk and to sensitize the general public in Iran on the importance of continuity and resilience. So I want to thank them. First of all, my presentation, it's a technical presentation. I'm going to talk about how to manage continuity in a bank, but I will try to be not too technical, actually, and to explain you how to manage effectively continuity in a simple way. As speakers said before, continuity the business world can be very complex nowadays. So the biggest challenge, in my opinion, for a business continuity professional is about keeping things simple and actually understanding what needs to be done to ensure the continuity of operations, especially in the banking system. I have a background that is very much oriented to this financial system because I myself used to work for an Italian European bank, which was UniCredit at that time, and I was a risk manager actually there. The issues with the banking sectors are always the same. We all know here in this room that the banking sector is definitely a critical infrastructure to any country in the world because it's very important. I was talking before to some of you and I said, well, if you think of an interruption, of a major disruption to the financial system of a country, you are actually paralyzing the whole country and all the industries. Because we deal with payments, we deal with the economy, we sustain the economy and the sound growth of a country. So it's very important. Now, speaking of business continuity, let's go straight to the point. What does it mean? Well, business continuity, the definition of the ISO standards is this one. It's really simple. It's the capability of the organization to continue delivery of products or services at acceptable predefined levels. The concept is extremely simple in my opinion, but believe me when I say that if we have the objective of making an organization as complex as a bank, especially large bank, it's extremely difficult to achieve this objective without actually a business continuity management team, not only just a professional, and also without the embedding of business continuity into the bank's culture and into the organization. Nowadays, the world is so complex that it's impossible for a professional or a team to manage business continuity without leveraging on the experience of several other departments in an organization. In fact, it's all about, now the challenge is all about integrating resilience discipline. Recently, in 2017, a new ISO standard was issued on organizational resilience. It's the ISO 22316. And basically, these are all the subjects, the main subjects that contribute to the aim of resilience to an organization. Resilience, it was said by the speaker before me in this wonderful conference, is about adapting to change and absorbing shocks in a changing environment. So business continuity is definitely one of the key subjects, one of the key topics that we need to achieve and we need to implement in order to reach this resilience objective. But we will never be able to be truly resilient if we do not integrate business continuity in different management systems. Crisis management, risk management, emergency management, HR management, asset management, facility and supply chain, and so on and so forth. It's very important that we understand that nowadays business continuity, as we said before, it's not just about the IT. It's not just about disaster recovery, it's not just about technology. We have to understand that it's an organizational subject that entails a lot of different considerations that needs to be made. And the business continuity management team, again, cannot be alone in this challenge, cannot be left alone. The evidence of international studies showed that 80% of the organization nowadays have a business continuity team working alongside other functions or that reporting to other functions. 70% of the organization still don't have a business continuity management team, and this is quite scaring. And 3% of the organization, in the 3% of the organization, the BC team is not working alongside other functions. So I can tell you 100% that in this 20% of organization, the 17 plus 3%, business continuity is not successful. And they are not successful as an organization. Because business continuity is a subject that is part of the risk management in the end. And risk is defined as the effect of uncertainty on business objectives. So every organization, including banks of course, should have some business objectives and should manage uncertainty in a way that they're always able to reach their targets. Business continuity, again, is probably one of the most important subjects within the risk resilience spectrum of disciplines, because it's all about planning for the unthinkable. It's all about planning for whatever may happen that can slow down or even interrupt the operations. So how, as the theme, the main topic of this presentation, how do we ensure business continuity to an organization? It can be very challenging, it can be very difficult, but the first thing to do is defining the governance. What do I mean by defining the governance? Well, first of all, a business continuity professional are prone to think that business continuity is all about writing a business continuity plan. Forget about it. It can be shocking, but it's not just about business continuity planning. It's not about having a plan on the paper that will not work when you need it. It's about creating a program, and not just a project, that repeats activities year after year to continuously improve the performances of the management system and the company overall. So how to do that? We need to assign specific roles and responsibilities. And I don't mean roles and responsibilities just in recovering IT systems or buildings that have been disrupted by an incident. I mean also roles and responsibility in managing the business continuity program, even when a disruption has not occurred yet. It means assigning roles and responsibility to prepare the company for an interruption, to make sure that the company is always able to meet their objectives and to reduce not only the probability but also the impact of an interruption. And why do we say the business continuity should be a program and not a project? Because a project is usually something that you do once in a lifetime. You implement the project and the project is over and you think you're okay. It doesn't work with business continuity, and this is a consultant speaking. So it's not just about delivering a business continuity project for a company to be in the position of saying, okay, I have business continuity plans. It's a program to make sure that the business continuity plan are actually known in the organization, and the relevant people that need to react to an interruption are aware of what the organization expects from them. It's also about training people. It's about delivering awareness sessions, and we will see them in a minute. It's also about getting the top management commitment. We all know that the top management is the leadership of any organization, and banks make no exception on this. So it's very important that we understand that if we want to get involvement of the top management, we need them to realize the benefit of continuity and resilience. Gianna De Toni has already shown a slide at the end of her presentation highlighting the benefits of resilience. I want to be a little bit more specific given the aim of my presentation and tell you that it's all about profits in the end. That it may be an indirect link, so it's not that if you have business continuity your revenues will grow instantly, but as she said already, I mean, the most successful and the most profitable organizations are also the ones who are that are also more resilient, and that are able to operate in a changing environment, in a challenging environment, and they are able to operate no matter the external context. So, as far as the top management commitment, the evidence of the Business Continuity Institute, which is the leading global institution for continuity and resilience professional, it's a UK-based organization that has a global reach, is that business continuity still is not so supported by top managers of large organizations all around the globe. In fact, I mean, if we see the most negative replies, so slightly supportive and not supportive, business continuity is way higher than information security and risk management. Because information security is probably easier to be understood by top manager, because you can get a lot, nowadays cyber threat is the top threat of any organization, and if you get attacked by an enemy, a competitor, or whatever organization that wants to harm you, you feel like you have to protect yourself and you have to care about information security. Still, if you are an information security professional, you should know that security is never given for granted. Even if you are perfect in doing whatever you can do to protect yourself, you are still vulnerable at some point because no one is perfect. So you need business continuity to make sure that even if something happens, and I'm not minimizing the importance of information security. First of all, you have to implement all the information security to make sure you minimize the probability of occurrence of a cyber attack, for instance. But if it happens, you have to be prepared and you have to know that you have to continue your operations in some way. You have to have a plan B. Business continuity, again, is not perceived by top managers yet as a top priority in their strategies, but this is changing, actually. And to change that in this process, we need to ensure that the commitment is also demonstrated by the investment allocation, the budget allocation. And again, I mean, this slide represents the same picture as the previous one. So it's not just about the commitment in supporting the business continuity management program, but it's also about investing the money. You know, Americans used to say, put your money where your mouth is. So if you actually think business continuity is important, you should allocate adequate resources to finance all the intervention and all the whatever you may need to have business continuity program in place, a sound business continuity program. The picture, however, is changing because nowadays companies are investing more and more in business continuity. And the trend, if you look at the Business Continuity Institute reports, which are available on their website, and they're free, by the way, you can see that the investment in business continuity is increasing over time, and especially large and international organizations are investing more and more in business continuity. This is a result of the fact that we are working a lot on the embedding of business continuity. Embedding means incorporating, again, the culture, business continuity within the corporate culture. To do that, you have to align the language, first of all, so you need to understand what is business continuity. And you also need to communicate to all the people in the organization. It doesn't have to be a technical matter, it doesn't have to be a matter that is always discussed among experts in a company. It needs to be understood by the general staff. That's why it is very important to have a 360-degree awareness program. You have to understand that you have to communicate to all the employees of an organization that they play a role in the business continuity management system. So it's not just about handling the subject from a technical point of view, but it's also about making people understand that they play a huge important role, even in cyber resilience. We know cyber is a very technical matter, but we also know, and I will give you an example, that the biggest vulnerability for cyber incidents is not technology, it's people. A friend of mine who is a cybersecurity expert once told me that they had a penetration test with a large Italian bank. This penetration test basically was a phishing email by creating a fake email account, and they sent this email for phishing sensitive information to a sample of 100 employees in the organization. Basically, they asked for sensitive information, and they giving as a return on the sensitive information that the employees were disclosing a promotion on a new car. It was a company promotion like many others. So out of 100 emails that they sent out, how many replies do you think they got? I will tell you, 129. Because people in the organization has forwarded the email to their colleagues to make sure that they were able to access the same promotion. So the awareness on data security is very important. And you can think of the damages that could create if that was not a penetration test but was an actual and real attack to the company. It's very important to understand that BC needs to be everyone's responsibility. And how do we actually achieve this goal? First of all, it's very important to understand that business continuity is all about common sense, but common sense is not so common. So you need a methodology. You need a methodology to be implemented in an organization, and you need to understand that the program needs to be coordinated by competent people. We are, as a company, PANTA as a company, is a corporate partner and a licensed training partner of the Business Continuity Institute. So we deliver the CBCI certification to the BCM team. This is a course, a 5 days intensive course that basically goes through all the 6 phases of the business continuity life cycle in an organization. So how to write the policy, how to implement governance, how to embed business continuity in an organization, how to perform analysis to understand what are the criticalities and the top priorities in case of an incident, how to design continuity solutions and strategies, how to implement the plan, and how to test it, to be extremely short. This is a very technical course, but as I said, it is not sufficient on its own. It's better to have competent people to coordinate your program, but it's not sufficient. So you have to do and deliver awareness sessions to top managers, and that's a huge part of our job as consultants, is about getting the engagement of top managers and the support of top managers to the program. Then you have to deliver awareness sessions to process owners, because the responsibility of business continuity is not of the business continuity manager. The responsibility of business continuity of an organization is of their process owners. It's the process owner who's also the risk owner who needs to mitigate the risk, including the business continuity risk, and needs to do whatever it takes to minimize the probability of occurrence of an interruption, but also the impacts. You can then, if you are a large organization, and as banks are, it's impossible, of course, to train face-to-face a huge amount of people. So you have to deliver e-learning awareness to all staff. These can be non-technical sessions, 1-hour sessions, that in some way communicates the basic principles of business continuity to an organization. Another extremely important part is including BC on relevant meeting agendas. We also suggest to the organization we work with to establish a so-called business continuity steering committee that includes all the top managers in a company having responsibilities across different functions, HR, IT, safety, security, risk management, of course, business processes, and so on and so forth. Having this business continuity topic in their meeting agenda, it means that they discuss on a periodic basis, like let's say for the sake of discussion on a quarterly basis, the business continuity matter. This creates awareness among managers and also allows them to share issues to make sure that business continuity is not just a piece of paper, it's not just a plan that you have to use once in a lifetime when you're hit by an incident, a disruption, or even a crisis, but it's something that you care for every single day of your professional career. And then, of course, you have to organize periodic workshops and seminars, and I think that this seminar in particular is very important as a kickoff of the CBI, the Central Bank of Iran strategy, that in 5 years wants to have a full resilience in the banking sector. It's very important, and it's also important that organizations organize this kind of seminars also with their staff on a periodic basis to make sure that they know how business continuity works and why it is so important and how to manage continuity. What are the long-term benefits of embedding business continuity? Well, first of all, the most intuitive one is the reduction of the cost of a response to an incident. You can easily understand that because the more you are prepared in dealing with a disruption, the better you will react, the quicker you will react, and you will be able to minimize all the negative impacts. But it's also interesting to note that it also improves a lot the employee morale. It's extremely important to understand that because a sound work environment is fundamental for the success of any organization. And if you have business continuity in place, you will know that all your employees will in some way more proud to work for such an organization. You are all working with banks or companies or regulators that are part of the so-called banking sector. So you know better than me how important and fundamental it is what you do on your daily basis for the health and safety of your country, of any country. Iran makes no exception. So you have to be proud of what you're doing, and how can you be proud if your systems are not resilient and if you actually are the cause of a lot of interruptions because your operations are not resilient and does not have a business continuity program in place. Last but not least is also customer retention. We saw the example of the Italian bank that Gianna Toni mentioned, PANTA. They had a big earthquake and they were able to gain market shares because their competitors were not responsive as they were to the crisis, and they were actively working on the territory. And when do you need cash? You need cash when you have a crisis and you need to activate some family emergency procedure. So if your bank is not responsive in supporting you during the crisis, you may be a little bit upset to the bank. And if you see that another bank is very responsive, you may evaluate in the end the chance of changing your bank and moving your account to the one that is more responsive. So how can we actually achieve business continuity in an organization and especially in banks? Analyzing critical processes. We need to understand, and we need to make people understand, especially the process owner, that when we say critical in business continuity, we don't mean important. Every process is important in an organization, no exceptions. But not everyone is as critical as some processes. Of course, criticality has a strong connection with the what we in the profession call the recovery time objectives, so what needs to be recovered more quickly. So you need to understand the difference between critical and important. You need to be able to communicate that to the process owners. To define what is critical and what is not, you need to evaluate impacts over time, and you need to define continuity resources for those processes. But how do you actually evaluate the impacts of a disruption? Well, the international standards usually distinguish four different impacts categories. Financial, so you lose money or you're not able to make additional profits out of your business. You don't meet your business objectives, meaning that you're not able to deliver the service that you are actually thinking of delivering to your clients, to your customers. But you may also lose your clients to a competitor. Then you have, of course, legal, regulatory, and contractual breaches. If you're not able to deliver a critical services, the authority may come to you and say, well, you have to pay a huge fine for this because you are a critical infrastructure. But the most important one is still reputational. Why is it the most important one? Because as long as you have your reputation, you will always be able to recover any damage, no matter how big it is. You may lose a lot of money out of a disruption, and of course it's not, nobody's happy to lose money, that's for granted. Still, nobody's happy to lose reputation, because if you lose reputation, you will never ever recover from any disruption and you will be kicked out of the business. Then you need to think of the continuity resources that you need to have. First of all, the most important resource of any organization is the people, so HR. We tend to think as business continuity as a highly technological subject, and we know how technology is important nowadays because as the speakers who talked before me during this conference told it many times how technology is important. Still, we all know that business processes are still run by people. Sites as well. Especially if you are a bank, you have to take care of all the branches and the physical integrity of all these branches that should be able to support your clients and customers. The general assets, including your data center, of course, and the technology, but also the suppliers. You can be extremely good at business continuity on your own, but if your supplier fails, you're still not able to deliver your products or services to the customers. And if the customer asks, you cannot say, it's my supplier that is not able to serve me, so I'm not able to serve you. Because you will lose your reputation, because the clients does not matter of your supplier, you have to take care of them. So a focus on supplier is extremely important if we think that in organizations nowadays, we have a high majority of suppliers that are immediate suppliers, but also we have a significant stake, a significant share of suppliers that are not actually immediate suppliers, so are suppliers of our supplier. What does this mean? It means that we have to take care of business continuity as a system, and we have to have a systemic approach to the subject. There's no competition on business continuity. It's way better that we all have a good business continuity program in place. We have to design continuity solutions, of course, based on the assumptions that we have made through the analysis phase. And we need to set realistic recovery objectives, define consistent continuity solutions, of course, taking care of the budget restraint that any company has. So business continuity is not just about duplicating anything in the organization. It's about selecting the items that actually need to be duplicated in a way that there is redundancy enough to be resilient. You have different strategic options. Speaking of technology in particular and data center, you can go for a diversification, which is specifically indicated for processes that have an RTO equal to 0, so that need to be recovered extremely quickly. Diversification means that you have two active sites, basically. So if any of them has an interruption, the other one is able to continue the operation without any interruption perceived by the customer or by any other stakeholder. You can then duplicate and go for a duplication strategy or a replication strategy that is particularly indicated for processes having an RTO that is less than 24 hours or 1 day, or then a standby. Duplication and standby are usually also addressed by disaster recovery people as hot site and warm sites. These are sites that in some way can be equipped in a very short time to be active. But also you have some other options. You can think of the post-incident acquisition, or you can think of subcontracting a particular service to a supplier just for the time that you are unable to deliver it on your own. Of course, you have to qualify your suppliers way before the incident has happened, otherwise it's too late, and you have to set specific service level agreement. In the end, you can also think of an insurance, but you have to understand that insurance is just about getting repaid for the damage that you had, but it does not give you business continuity, and it does not guarantee that you will not lose your reputation. Then the most important part, in my opinion, is understanding the difference of RTO, recovery time objective, in theory and in reality. So the theory says that the recovery time objective is the amount of time after an incident in which processes needs to be recovered. It's simple, it's on the top, the highest part of the slide. In reality, what happens is that you have an incident, but sometimes you do not invoke immediately the business continuity plans, because you don't have all the information that you need, because the world is extremely complex, because you're not even aware of the incident. Because if the incident is big and it's immediately visible, then it's fine. But there are a lot of incidents that cannot be detected immediately. So The practical RTO starts from the invocation point, and that's what crisis management is for. Crisis management is about taking the decision of activating a business continuity plan. If you are a business continuity expert, you know that activating a business continuity plan is extremely expensive. So it's not a decision that you take every day to activate a business continuity plan, luckily, let me say. But still, I mean, if you waste a lot of time in understanding whether you have to activate a business continuity plan or not, you're wasting money, you're losing reputation, and that's why you need a crisis management program in place as well. Implementing continuity plans, you need to understand that continuity plans are not documents meant for consultants to be written in long pages so that they can charge you a lot of money for them. They need to be concise, adaptable, and relevant because you need to use them as soon as an incident happens. You have to document them through a checklist, and you have to constantly update them and test them. You have to understand that technology improves over time, so you need to change technology, and you need to understand that technology that changes in some way also changes your plans that need to be updated. So what kind of contents do you have to put in a plan? Who is responsible for recovery actions, of course? What is required to recover the operation? And remember, in the analysis phase, we have talked about the continuity requirement analysis, basically. Where to go to recover the operations? When shall the operation be restored, the recovery time objectives, and how to recover with detailed procedure. In the end, the most important phase, in my opinion, is validating the business continuity management system. We cannot say our business continuity plan is effective until we test it. And Mr. Najafi, the example that you did at the beginning of the seminar of the backup disks that were not actually working is a clear example of what I'm saying. It's extremely important to test your business continuity plans. It's extremely important to test your disaster recovery premises, your disaster recovery equipment, to make sure it will work when you actually need them. Tests need to be inclusive and realistic, you need to confirm the policy objective, and you need to have competent auditors. Last but not least, let me conclude with this slide. Investing in business continuity is extremely important, and the more you invest in business continuity, the more you want to invest in it. This is an evidence of the BCI. The BCI has interviewed a lot of organizations that are investing a lot of money in business continuity during these recent years. And the more they invest, the more they feel like they need to invest more because they see the benefit and the return on investment of business continuity. Thank you very much.
بسیار ممنونم، سپاسگزارم از جناب آقای آلبرتو ماتیا، مدیر عامل محترم شرکت پانتا و سخنرانی که ارائه کرد.